one's going to be about Slant 6, and we're going to blueprint this oil pump. There's a couple of reasons why I do what I do. This is the pickup side, goes through, and it gets pumped, comes up through this hole here, goes through this, comes down into this passageway, which comes into this one. This is the one that goes into the block. Here's the problem, is that, as you can see, that's a little tiny hole right there. And it's definitely not the size that you want it. And here's one of the big issues, is that the oil pressure sending unit that shows oil pressure as far as what you gauge read is on this side. So if you have a restriction over here that's on the outside, that means this is your restriction point, means you're going to show a higher oil pressure on this side than you are going into the block. That's another reason why I put the sending unit down on the rail back by between the number 3 and number 4 mains. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill out this hole here. We're going to drill out this hole down in here. We're going to open that up. And first thing we're going to do is take this thing apart. I've made a couple cool little special tools. This is a tool I've made. It goes right on here. It basically pops that oil pump off. We're going to take all this stuff apart. We're going to take all this apart, and we're going to start grinding on this thing. All right, see you in a few. See, it just comes off really easily. Once you screw this off, screw this, it just pops right off like that. So that way you can get the gear off. Makes it nice and simple. Cool little tool. All this was, I believe, is a tie rod, and that I ground down the corners right there just a little bit, so that way it's a little right in here. And then made this aluminum piece that kind of pops up in there. That was the same diameter as that. And it pops it off really easily. So, all right, let's get the rest of this apart. This one and this one are 15/16 typically when you buy, like, say, a milling pump. Unscrew that. Then when you get this one, I already loosened them up because I'm a one-handed bandit. This comes out. That's your pressure spring. Get yourself a little tiny magnet, and on a new pump, this should come out really easily. There we go. This is the actual valve itself. Put the valve to the side. Then we're going to pop these off. Alrighty. I want you to notice something. Notice how it says up on there. So that way you guys can kind of see it. Now this is just obviously Slant 6 pumps. Take the cover off. Notice that the up is there. Put that to the side. And then this is your basic pump. And then just pop here. And this comes right out. So there's your oil pump. And this gear comes right out just like that. And then you have an O-ring right in here. And we're going to kind of leave that in there. But essentially, it's pretty simple on how the system works. So, yeah, it comes in from here onto this side right here, which comes into that side right there, goes through the pump, gets pressurized, comes out that one, comes out this hole here, goes through the filter, comes back into this hole, which then goes down this passageway, which goes into here, goes into your block. So what we do is we're going to open up this hole, that area, all up to 1/2 inch. And then we're going to, down in here, that opens up to 1/2 inch going into there. And then on this side here, we knock off all this flash that's down in here. You can see all that. We basically just open up all that inside there. Is this necessary? For most of you guys, absolutely not. Not at all. Most of these, for street engines, you can just take this thing, throw it in there, and it's going to work just fine for, you know, another 50 years. For me, this is what I like to do. I like to do this stuff because I'm all about oil volume and not necessarily pressure, so I want the volume. So I do this just because I can blueprint a pump. And I'm showing you guys how to do it too. So there we go. All right, I'm going to start drilling on this thing. So this is the first hole I've drilled. Now, that's just me barely breaking through. And you'll see that I'm going to drill down quite a bit farther. On the back side, there's plenty of room. On the back side of this oil pump. So I'm coming in right there. Let's see how this is nice and thick here. So I can drill into that just a little bit, and what I'm going to do is drill into that to that tip comes basically down to there. And then that way I'll have less to grind out as far as on here just to smooth it out. Alrighty, moving on. So you can see how far down I cut it right there. Move this back. One-handed bandit. So you can see how much bigger that is. And then I'm going to cut all that flash away. Then I also cut this one down here too. That's 1/2 inch also. That one comes right into this area right there. That is a little harder to get cleaned up inside there. So I tend to just kind of leave it alone. I just cut down on the flash that just kind of rolled over on there. But other than that, that's that. This one right here on that side where the pickup is on that side, I'm going to be cutting all that down. Okay, so I got that all done out in there. So that's massively larger. Then just kind of did this out here like that. Just kind of radius that. And then that opening is much larger. So that's the feed into it. And then that is, I mean, the only thing I did on this one is just kind of take out the sharp edge, just barely. But that's 1/2 inch now. That's 1/2 inch all the way through there. That's been cleaned out, and that opening is much bigger. So then I'm going to clean this up. Then I'm going to do some other tricks that I'm not going to show all you guys all my tricks here on some of the stuff, but I'll show you how to put it back together and how to press it. But other than that, as far as what I'm doing here, I don't know. There's some things I just have to keep a secret, I guess. So, but I will tell you that I do measure this. I do measure this. I do measure the depth of this here. I get the numbers there, and then I set it up a special way. And then, I'll show you how I put it all back together. But next time you see, this thing will be pretty much together except for this plate. And I'll show you how I press on the gear. All right, there it is. So now we got it all cleaned out, ready to go. And we're going to press this thing on. And all I'm going to do is I have this thing. I just put a little grease inside there. This is aluminum. I'm going to put it in like this. This piece goes up on top. And presto, oh, changeo. And you just basically just want to get it kind of flush. You took a look at it when you took it off. So yeah, I'm the one-handed bandit, so we'll see it when it's done. All right, so it's on there, and it's got just the right amount of play in it. Just a tiny bit, just exactly what I had before. It's about 20 thousandths of play right there. And then grease that up nice and good. Then I'm going to put the other sleeve back on there, and we're going to start putting this thing back together. Alrighty, next step. Alright, so I got the other side in there. You don't have to pack this thing a shit ton of grease. All you're trying to do is just cover this thing so that way when it goes, it'll actually just start to get a prime. And if you plug up that port down in there, that's the pickup side. You're not going to get any prime. So basically, all you're trying to do is just put just enough on there so that way no metal-to-metal contact, and then you're just trying to keep it so that way it can pick up a prime. All right, gonna put the O-ring on, and I'm gonna grease that up, and then I'll put the cover on. Alrighty, next up. After you get all this on, you want to make sure that it moves freely. It's a nice, light drag. This is why I don't want to put too much grease inside there. It's because this is going to have a drag on it. So now we put the rest back together. All right, moving on. So then now we got to put the pressure release valve in. What I do is I put on my pinky and I shove it in here. Just a slight bit of grease. and then shove it down there, and then make sure that it's not like that. Remember, one-handed bandit. But you want to make sure that it moves in and out really easily with your pinky. So yeah, so put a little grease in there. Then we're going to put this all back together inside there, and then basically seal the sucker up, and it's almost done. So there you have it. It's all back together. Drilled out that right there. That's much bigger. Drilled out that, open that up. So that hole's bigger, that hole's bigger. You can see how much more opening is in there. That is a massive opening. This has all been blueprinted. It spins nice and free. The little resistance on it, obviously, because there's grease in there. But opening up that port window is huge. So comes in here, comes out here, and you can see how much bigger we made that down there. This is the biggest restriction. If you just do this and don't do the rest of it, this will actually help the most, because your pressure is going to, like I said earlier in the thing, this is where your pressure center is on most of these, and the restriction's here. So it's going to show high pressure back here, but low flow. So we're going to keep lower pressure but higher volume, and that's exactly what you want. You want the volume and not necessarily the pressure, if you can work that. So keep the pressure a little lower, and that's that. Hope you guys like this, and that's this is for Gilbert Slant Sled. So we got about 3 more weeks on the block, and then we'll start putting this thing back together. So I'm just getting all the little knick-knack paddywhack stuff done. All right, until next time. Peace.